Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep on Joe Biden using this podcast script called "The Life of Joe Biden: Triumph, Tragedy, and the Road to the Presidency."
Sounds fascinating.
It is really fascinating. We're going to try to unearth some of those lesser-known facts and events that kind of shaped his path to the White House.
Yeah, I get a unique perspective on this complex figure for sure.
Okay, so let's start with his roots. The script really highlights his working class upbringing in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yeah.
And, that story about his father quitting his job at Chevrolet
Right.
because the owner threw money at him. I mean, that just struck me. It seemed to speak volumes about the values, I don't know, that he grew up with.
Absolutely. It shows a deep-rooted sense of dignity and respect for oneself and others. That these values instilled by his father likely influenced his later focus on economic justice and, support for the working class. It's interesting to see how those early experiences might have shaped his political stances.
Yeah, no doubt. And it wasn't all, rosy for young Joe. The script mentions that he had a childhood stutter,
Right. Right.
which makes you wonder, what kind of impact that must have had on him, especially during those formative years.
Oh, yeah. Stuttering can be incredibly challenging. It can lead to feelings of isolation and, really affect self-esteem. But for Biden, it seems to have fueled his determination. He didn't let it define him.
It's amazing. And his mother, you talk about a fierce advocate for him.
Yeah.
Remember that story about her confronting the nun who made fun of his stutter? Talk about a protected mama bear.
It speaks to the crucial role his mother played in fostering his resilience. She instilled in him a sense of self-worth, which helped him navigate, those really difficult times. And it seems like, this early support system really equipped him to confront challenges head on, throughout his life.
Yeah, and it's amazing how those early experiences, might have laid the groundwork for his political ambitions.
Yeah.
But get this, he initially considered becoming a priest. Can you believe that?
Yes, his Catholic upbringing clearly, had a profound impact on him, drawing him to a life of service and spiritual leadership. However, it seems like the rise of John F. Kennedy was the catalyst that shifted his aspirations towards politics.
It's interesting, isn't it? It was like witnessing Kennedy's charisma and that success. It just ignited a fire in him. He saw, a path to make a difference on a larger scale, engaging with the world in a different way.
It's fascinating to see the parallels between Biden's admiration for Kennedy and, his own political style later on. Both men possessed that certain charm and ability to connect with people on a personal level.
And, but unlike Kennedy, Biden didn't have the same wealth or influential connections. He had to fight his way into the political arena. And at just 29 years old, he won a Senate seat against a seasoned politician, J. Caleb Boggs.
That victory is a testament to his grit and ability to connect with voters authentically. He lacked the advantages of his opponent, but he compensated with sheer determination and a genuine desire to serve. He truly resonated with people.
Yeah, he did. But just as he was establishing himself in Washington, tragedy struck.
Yeah.
His wife and daughter were killed in a car accident.
Terrible.
And his words upon hearing the news just are heart-wrenching. She has died, hasn't she?
It's a stark reminder of the fragility of life, and Biden has spoken openly about the depth of his grief during that time, even admitting to, understanding suicidal thoughts. It's just difficult to fathom that level of pain, and it truly speaks to his strength that he found a way through such a dark period.
The script mentions that, he and his brother would even go out looking for fights as a way to cope with that grief.
It highlights the raw, visceral nature of his grief. He needed a physical, almost primal outlet for his pain. It wasn't something he could process quietly.
It makes sense in a way. And his role in the Senate, became an anchor, a purpose during that time, taking his oath of office in the hospital where his sons were recovering.
Right.
I mean, that image is so powerful.
Yeah. His dedication to service and love for his sons fueled his resilience and commitment to duty. Even in the face of immense suffering, he found a way to move forward.
Yeah, and then came Jill Biden, a force of stability and love in his sons' lives.
Yeah.
She was instrumental in helping them heal and rebuild their family.
Jill's entry into his life marks a turning point. She brought a sense of warmth and stability that was desperately needed. It's evident that family has always been central to him, and Jill's unwavering support became a source of strength throughout his career. And it's from this foundation of family that he launched his first presidential bid in 1987. It's remarkable how personal experiences often shape political ambitions. For Biden, that drive to serve and make a difference was undoubtedly amplified by the tragedies he endured. It's like these experiences fueled his desire to create positive change in the world.
That's a great point. But this first presidential run in '87 wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
Yeah.
The script mentions that his early speeches lacked the charisma of some of his rivals. It makes you wonder if his style was still evolving at that point.
It's common for politicians, who are known for policy expertise and connecting with voters on a personal level to face that challenge. They might not have that immediate stage presence. It seems like Biden at the stage was still finding his voice as a national figure.
He did try to boost that stage presence, though, right? By modeling his speeches after UK Labour leader Neil Kinnock.
Yeah.
But that backfired pretty spectacularly with accusations of plagiarism.
Yes, those accusations were a significant setback for his campaign. They raised questions about his authenticity and judgment, ultimately forcing him to withdraw from the race. It's a reminder of how important perception is in politics.
Oh yeah, for sure. It definitely highlights how even unintentional missteps can have lasting consequences, especially with the intense media scrutiny that comes with a presidential campaign.
Absolutely. Transparency and integrity are crucial in those situations. Fast forward to 2007 and Biden launches his second presidential campaign. But again, controversy arises with his comment about Barack Obama being articulate and bright and clean. It was perceived as racially insensitive, even if unintentional.
It makes you think about the importance of language and cultural sensitivity, especially in a diverse nation like the United States, even if well-intended words can have a significant impact.
Exactly. And yet from the setback emerged an unexpected turn of events, Obama choosing Biden as his running mate. It's a decision that speaks volumes about both of them.
It really does. What do you think Obama saw in Biden that made him overlook the controversy?
I think Obama recognized Biden's vast experience, especially in foreign policy, and his ability to connect with working-class voters. These qualities complemented Obama's own strengths. It was a strategic move to create a balanced ticket.
And for Biden, accepting the vice presidency after his own presidential aspirations faltered shows a real commitment to party unity. He seemed to genuinely believe in Obama's vision for the country.
Their relationship, as described in the script, was complex, marked by both disagreements and deep respect. They had different approaches and viewpoints, but they ultimately found a way to work together effectively.
It's fascinating to see how they navigated those differences. It speaks to their ability to prioritize shared goals. Their partnership proved to be a winning formula leading to 2 terms in the White House.
But even during these successful years, tragedy struck again with the death of Biden's son Beau from brain cancer in 2015. It's a loss no parent should have to endure.
Yeah, reading about that moment, you can almost feel the weight of Biden's grief. It obviously impacted his political ambitions, leading him to step back from a potential 2016 presidential run.
It was a decision rooted in deep personal pain. Even Obama advised him against running, recognizing the emotional toll Beau's death had taken. It reveals a depth to their relationship that goes beyond politics.
It wasn't just a political partnership, it was a genuine friendship built on empathy and understanding.
Exactly. But then the 2016 election happened with the victory of Donald Trump, and that seemed to spark a new fire in Biden. He saw in Trump's rhetoric a bullying and divisiveness that he felt compelled to challenge. It was like a call to action for him.
You know, it's interesting how personal experiences can shape our responses to political events. Biden's history of overcoming adversity, particularly his childhood stutter, likely made him particularly sensitive to Trump's style of attack politics. It's as though he recognized those tactics and felt a responsibility to counter them.
That's a really insightful observation. It's like he saw a reflection of his own struggles in the experiences of others who were being targeted or marginalized.
Exactly. And so in 2020, at 77 years old, Biden launched his 3rd bid for the presidency. He was fueled by a sense of urgency, a belief that the very soul of the nation was at stake. He couldn't sit back and watch things unfold without taking action.
It was a campaign unlike any other set against the backdrop of a global pandemic and intense political polarization. But Biden positioned himself as a steady hand, a unifier in a time of turmoil. His message seemed to resonate with voters seeking stability and a return to normalcy.
His message of empathy and hope definitely resonated with people who were tired of the chaos and division. Even while facing attacks on his family, particularly his son Hunter, he remained focused on his vision for a more united and just America.
Those attacks, as the script mentions, were often intensely personal and aimed at exploiting Biden's vulnerabilities. But it's as if they also highlighted his resilience. He'd faced personal tragedies and political setbacks before, and he wasn't going to let these attacks derail his campaign. It speaks to his determination and focus.
And when he finally won, it felt like a collective sigh of relief swept across the nation. It was a victory not just for Biden, but for a vision of America that values decency, empathy, and a commitment to democratic principles. It felt like a turning point for many.
His inauguration, taking place after the January 6th insurrection and amidst a raging pandemic, was a moment of profound symbolism, and yet Biden's inaugural address struck a chord of unity and hope.
It was a stark contrast to the rhetoric of his predecessor. He emphasized the need for healing, for coming together as a nation to address the challenges ahead. His focus on empathy, on acknowledging the pain and suffering of so many Americans, was deeply moving.
It's a leadership style that draws on his own experiences with loss and hardship. Biden's ability to connect with people on a personal level, to share in their joys and sorrows, is a defining characteristic. It allows him to relate to people in a way that feels genuine and authentic.
His presidency hasn't been without its challenges, though. The withdrawal from Afghanistan was a particularly difficult chapter, impacting his approval ratings and raising questions about his foreign policy judgment.
It was a complex situation with no easy answers. The withdrawal was undoubtedly a painful process, but it also marked the end of America's longest war. Biden's decision to prioritize ending the conflict, even with the inherent risks, reflects his deep aversion to endless military engagement.
It's a decision that will be debated and analyzed for years to come. And let's not forget the ongoing challenges he faced, the pandemic, economic uncertainty, and deep political divisions within the nation. These are issues that would test any president.
Absolutely. And Biden's age and his occasional struggles with stuttering have also been subjects of public scrutiny. Some have questioned his capacity to handle the demands of the presidency, given those factors.
It's important to acknowledge those concerns and how they might play into public perception. But underestimating Biden's resilience and commitment to serving the American people would be a mistake. His story is one of perseverance, of overcoming obstacles, and of finding strength in the face of adversity.
It's a story that resonates with so many Americans, who face their own personal challenges. It's a reminder that resilience and determination can lead to great things. And while his presidency is still, a topic of debate, it's clear that Joe Biden's journey has been marked by empathy, a commitment to justice, and an unwavering belief in America.
You know what really strikes me is how his personal experiences seem to have shaped his approach to leadership. That focus on empathy and connection he brings to the role. It feels like a direct result of what he's gone through.
I think you're right. He seems to draw strength from his own experiences with loss and hardship. It allows him to connect with people on a deeper level, understand their struggles, and offer, genuine support.
But shifting gears a bit, this script barely touches on his time as vice president.
Right.
What kind of insights can we glean from those years?
That's a great question. The Obama-Biden relationship, it was fascinating. They definitely had their differences, in terms of style and approach, but they managed to forge a strong and effective partnership.
Yeah, and the script mentions that, they had disagreements, but it doesn't really delve into specifics. Do you have any examples of how their contrasting viewpoints played out?
Well, one notable example is their approach to the use of military force. Obama was generally more cautious, while Biden at times advocated for a more assertive stance. These differences were evident in discussions about, the surge in Afghanistan and intervention in Libya.
It's interesting to see how they navigated, those contrasting viewpoints. It speaks to their ability to have those tough conversations and find common ground, for the sake of the country.
Exactly. They recognized the importance of respectful debate and finding solutions that worked for both of them. It's a valuable lesson in leadership and collaboration.
Thinking back on Biden's political career, what would you say are some of his most significant legislative achievements?
Well, one that stands out is his work on the Violence Against Women Act, which he championed in the Senate. This legislation addressed domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. It's a testament to his long-standing commitment to justice and, protecting vulnerable communities.
That's a powerful example. And it seems to tie back to that sense of fairness and empathy, we talked about earlier. Those values instilled in him by his family. It's like a thread that runs through his entire career.
Absolutely. And his role in passing the Affordable Care Act during his vice presidency was also significant. It expanded health insurance coverage to millions of Americans, demonstrating his dedication to social welfare and improving access to health care.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can we learn from Joe Biden's life and presidency?
I think one of the biggest takeaways is the power of resilience. Biden faced incredible hardships, personal tragedies, political setbacks, yet he never gave up. He found a way to channel his grief and disappointment into a force for positive change.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can choose hope. We can choose to keep fighting for what we believe in.
Exactly. And Biden's story also highlights the importance of empathy and connection. His ability to relate to people on a personal level, to understand their struggles and offer genuine support is a hallmark of his leadership style.
It's a quality that seems to resonate with people. It creates a sense of trust and authenticity. And it reminds us that even in the world of politics, human connection matters.
It certainly does. So as we consider Biden's legacy and the impact of his presidency, it's important to remember that his journey is far from over. He continues to face challenges and make decisions that will shape the future of the country.
Well, this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. It's been a fascinating exploration of a complex and multifaceted figure. And as always, we encourage you, our listeners, to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking understanding.
There's always more to learn and more perspectives to consider. That's what makes these deep dives so rewarding. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep diving deep.